we interrupt this program to bring you something that's really awesome. Would you like to see a social media that features nothing but toons? Well, now you can with Cartoon Amino, a utopia for all things animation like movies, TV shows, internet, and so much more. Here you will find all that the animation community has to offer, including the latest news, interesting theories, top lists, fun gifs, everything that the internet has in store with cartoons. Whoops! Okay, maybe not everything. But in case you want to venture into new territories, you could try many different Amino flavors, including anime, video games, comics, and so much more. And the best part with Cartoon Amino and what you see here is that it's all free! Except for the phone, you still have to pay for that. Cartoon Amino, available for the iOS and Android. And now we bring you back to AniMat's reviewing Disney's The Jungle Book. No, not the animated one, the one with Bill Murray and Christopher Walken.
Whoa. Hey! So you're the one the man took to make that movie. Crazy. Have a banana. Ooh, fudge! Is the banana okay? Hold on, let me check if the banana's alright.
Now, when it comes to Walt Disney's 1967 animated classic, this is actually a very strange and rare case when it comes to movies based on literature. Because, as it is, as a Rudyard Kipling adaptation, this is just way too far off. The story has nothing to do and it misses the point of the original tale, the tone is way too lighthearted, and the characters are absolutely nothing like what Rudyard Kipling wrote about them. Sure, Walt Disney completely rejected the ideas of what Rudyard Kipling put into the book. In fact, Walt Disney told all his animators and all his writers to not read Rudyard Kipling's book whatsoever, but he did have an idea of what he wanted to do with this story. On top of the beautifully crafted animation from the 9 Old Men, it delivers some lovable characters, a great upbeat tone, and a collection of fantastic songs. It is one of the very rare exceptions to how it may not be a successful adaptation, but it is much more appreciated and well received as its own film and as a Disney classic. By the way, it's also worth noting that in 1994, Disney actually made a live-action film from the book that's titled Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book, which actually has little to nothing to do with The Jungle Book and is actually one Phil Collins soundtrack away from being Tarzan. Seriously, replace all the animals with gorillas, call Mowgli Tarzan, and it's godforsaken Tarzan! But now Disney has found a gold mine with taking their animated classics and turned them into big-budget live-action animated features. So why not take a second chance and retell the story of Walt's last animated feature? And wouldn't you know it, Jon Favreau did a Disney live-action remake, and it's actually good! For the first time since this trend began, this movie shows total respect to the animated film that it's based on. Yeah, Cinderella did a good job on the story too, but it tries to be more of a basic Cinderella story than like the 1950 version. The Jungle Book, though, takes heavy inspiration from the 1967 film and wants to make sure it pays tribute to it as much as possible. Everything from the production design, the style of the jungle and all its aesthetics, to the way that Mowgli looks is made to be completely reminiscent of the animated film, which not only is able to share the look of it, but also the feel of it. It's like you're entering in a place that's grand and new, yet it also feels so familiar. You expect Disney's The Jungle Book, and you get Disney's The Jungle Book. Speaking of the looks, the visuals of the animal characters are nothing short of amazing. Not only do these animals look so believable, even when they talk, but it's just so fascinating how much detail was put onto them.
He's just a cop. Does my face not remind you of what a grown man can do?
The only small nitpick about it is that I don't know if it's just me, or these guys are freaking huge!
Yeah, I know Mowgli's just a kid, but still, sometimes they just tower over him and I get worried if he'll die by getting stepped on. Seriously, look at Mowgli and Baloo here. Now look at this. Did Mowgli get rejected at the man village for being too small?
But again, that's just a dumb nitpick from me. The visual artist did a phenomenal work with that one. However, if there is one thing that this movie has to get right, it's the characters. Because let's face it, when it comes to this movie right here, people actually use it as a prominent example of how Disney is the master of creating lovable and memorable characters. And with this movie right here, well, for the most part, they actually nailed it.
Even if the movie heavily relies on A-list celebrities to play the characters, they somehow fit the role perfectly and actually capture the spirit of the original characters. From Bill Murray as Baloo, of course, Ben Kingsley as Bagheera, Giancarlo Esposito as Aquila, Lupita Nyong'o as Raksha, Idris Elba as Shere Khan, even Christopher Walken is an amazing King Louie. And even though it is his first time acting in a major motion picture, Neil said he was alright as Mowgli. They all feel like they've been perfectly casted, except for one. Why have Scarlett Johansson play Kaa? That just feels completely out of place. I mean, you can't go from the Cheshire Cat and Winnie the Pooh to Black Widow and Mindy from the SpongeBob SquarePants movie.
Say now, what have we here? Oh, it's a man cub.
I'll keep you safe. Just you and me, sweet thing.
On top of that, Kaa's role in the film feels completely pointless. He just appears in one scene, tells Mowgli about his origin without explaining how he knew it, almost eats Mowgli but then gets interrupted by Baloo, and that's it. But probably the movie's weakest asset is the relationship of the characters. In the animated feature, the relationship between Mowgli and the rest of the characters, whomever they be, are very strong and feel natural. It's actually what carries that film. Here, however, the bond between the characters is only glanced at. They don't feel like there's a real connection between them, and some scenes feel like they happen because, well, that's what they did in the animated film, so why not do it here, too?
Well, technically there is an explanation to this. Sure, it is very faithful to the animated feature, but there are some noticeable differences.
The biggest difference between the two films is the tone they tried to achieve. Where the animated film is more lighthearted and upbeat, this one is just a bit darker and a lot more action-packed. Instead of having musical numbers, with two exceptions, it contains a good amount of intense action scenes that do get engaging, and Shere Khan might make some people jump. Also, unfortunately, some characters had to be cut from the remake. The elephants had been reduced to minor non-speaking roles, and the vultures are completely gone. That's kinda too bad though. Seems like a missed opportunity to have Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr to play as them. That, and without spoiling it, the conclusion may be different as well. However, I just need to add that the soundtrack by John Debney is another great element how this movie connects itself to the animated feature. Taking songs like Bare Necessities, I Wanna Be Like You, and Trust in Me, and cleverly integrate them into the score.
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you would have told me that there was actually a good live-action remake of The Jungle Book, after that I only saw Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland and Maleficent, I would actually have a really hard time believing you. Maybe it will look nice, but I would highly doubt that it would have been a good movie. But now that I did see it, this might sound crazy, but I might have a newfound faith for Disney's live-action remakes.
Like the animated feature it's based on, it may have little to do with the original Rudyard Kipling novel, but as it is, The Jungle Book is a very solid film with beautiful visuals, an amazing cast, and some intense action. Yeah, there might be a few things that don't work as well as the original, but it's still a wonderful homage to the 1967 Walt Disney classic. It's a movie that's definitely worth checking out for some fun and seeing some great movie magic, especially if you're a fan of the animated film. In fact, this can almost be considered on par with it. This is a solid 8 out of 10 movie. With no pun intended, it has a bit of flaws here and there, but it successfully captures the bare necessities.
You know, I'm actually glad that we're starting to see things go uphill for these Disney live-action reboots. I mean, sure, we're only at the beginning of all this, and the first two were just downright embarrassing, but now I can actually see that not only that there are some good quality filmmaking here, but now there's actually some respect for the animated features that it's based on. Not only with The Jungle Book, but also with Cinderella as well. And who knows, maybe with time, we'll be seeing a lot more great Disney live-action reboots with the next ones coming up.
Your time is up. This cannot be good.
You know, I was about to say something, but I think the Mad Hatter just summed it up perfectly. See you later, dudes!
Have you lost your mind?